Spotlight on SHMU FM. Keeping it real with Tess.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the new way that Spotlight is interviewing their guests. And this week we have the wonderful Victoria Withy with us. Now let me just tell you a little bit about her. Victoria is a market strategist, business developer, and managing publisher and editor of Raring to Go magazine for the Aberdeen City and Shire areas. So Victoria, welcome, and it's lovely to have you on the show today.
Thanks, Tess. Lovely to be here from home.
Yes, I know. It's strange times that we're in right now. And I think it's just a great opportunity to sort of highlight for the viewers what people are actually doing in uncertain times like this to actually keep their businesses alive and to continue to inspire others and help others the way they were doing before.
Absolutely.
I'm really excited to go straight into the interview and just ask you, why did you actually start the magazine Raring to Go in the first place?
Well, I'm from New Zealand originally, and you can tell by my accent I'm not a native Aberdonian or Scottish person. I'd moved up here when I got married, and in 2006 I had a baby. I've no family around here. I didn't grow up here. I had no idea what was on for families, and I was taking my baby back to New Zealand to visit my parents and family, and I came across a magazine with an advert in it, and in the advert it had a information about Raring to Go magazine, which is a franchise, what to do, where to go for local families with children under 12. My first thought was, goodness me, as a new parent, I could really do with information like that in Aberdeen City and Shire. My second thought was, there's nothing like that here. And my third thought was, hey, that's all the skills I've got. Why don't I start it? I was at that time working at the Exhibition Centre in Aberdeen in the Events Management and Marketing Department. Had all the skills. I had a young baby, and I thought, you know what? This is a need in the market for local businesses and local families to connect. I could do this. That was in 2007.
That's fantastic. So how long is that now? If we calculate back, that's coming up for 13 years, did you tell me?
Yes, next month, on the 1st of July, a month and a half away, Raring to Go will be 13, and so we're turning to a teenager. I also now have a teenage daughter. My daughter is 14 and a half, so she was 18 months old when I started it.
It's pretty amazing, because I think if I go back to also not being a local, when I arrived in this area, that was one of the things that actually I tapped into as a young mum as well, because I didn't know anybody. And it was one of the ways I could sort of start building into a network of friends and connection for my kids. So thank you so much for starting it up. But now tell me something.
Well, it's been brilliant. Not only have I made lots of friends from parents at that time, but I've made lots of friends in business. I've got advertisers with us who've been with us for the whole 13 years. And also along the journey, we've been there with the start-up of a lot of local businesses as well. So it's been a real privilege to see businesses develop and grow, and to be there at the inception of many businesses started by local people and local parents especially. It's been great.
Fantastic. So how does a business like that relies on a print publication that is all about activities that kids and parents can go to and experience, how do you cope in a situation like this when we're in lockdown and we can't go anywhere?
You're absolutely right, Tess. So Raring to Go is what to do and where to go for parents and families of children under 12. All of the places that we need to go at the moment that we can go physically are shut. We put 33,000 copies of the magazine out every quarter. They go out for all the primary schools through Aberdeen City and Shire, tourist information centres, libraries, leisure centres, shops, venues, attraction. We have over 300 distribution points. They are also all shut. But there is a real need for families to get information and for businesses to tell families what they're doing in this time, because I have been absolutely overjoyed, I guess, which is quite a strong word, but really, really overjoyed to see a lot of businesses, advertisers and non-advertisers of ours, reinvent themselves in this time in the last 8 or 10 weeks when things changed so rapidly. And everyone was really to shut, and the shop was there. People didn't know what to do. But from this sort of adversity has become opportunity. Businesses have started to adapt. They've opened little bits of their business. They have changed what they offer in some ways, and some companies have actually changed completely what they offer. Some have gone online, some have gone takeaway, some have just completely repurposed, but there's also a proportion of businesses who haven't been able to with what they delivered, and they've hunkered down to wait out this time and see what comes. But those businesses also need to start talking to families and tell them what they do when the doors open again. So it's been really, really interesting to see what our businesses are doing, but also what families are doing, because things on Facebook and on Twitter, especially the schools, places like Aberdeen Science Centre, the Arts Centre, Gordon Highlanders Museum, they've got lots of stuff that's going out. So families are doing great things, businesses are doing great things, and we want to tell people about them.
That's fantastic. So you have really just become that information service, but for a different set of offers.
So what we've been doing, absolutely. So what we've been doing so far is sharing a lot of content through our social channels, but also we've started doing a raring to go discovery of the day, and that's finding the great things to do, what to do, where to go when you can't go anywhere. And all you can do is look through your laptop, your phone screen, and see what's going on in the world. So we've found everything from things that are happening locally, like the critter keeper is showing his critters, doing live feeds, to virtual tours around the Tate Modern, to watching gorillas action in the wild. There's stuff going on all over the world. So we've tried to pull that together into our Facebook page especially, and put out a discovery of the day. So local, national, international, all the great things. And also some really interesting small things like the clap for carers, people doing lovely stone drawings and people's rainbows in their windows. A colleague of mine in Raring to Go in Kidderminster has put together a lovely video of all the children's rainbow pictures from her area, which is fantastic. So we've got lots of different interesting things that we've been able to share. But you're right, so we're a printed publication and people love getting Raring to Go home. Unfortunately, I haven't even got a copy of the spring issue. We gave all 33,000 copies away. I've got one that's in my car. I haven't been in my car for about 8 weeks. So I haven't got to show you, but what we've done is, rather than having a printed magazine, we've said, okay, we can't get out to schools and all the other places we go. What can we do that's different? So we're going online. We already do a virtual copy, but we've completely reinvented the magazine to be a fully interactive digital copy. So it's got YouTube links, it's got links to people's Facebook pages, it's got videos, it's got audio files, and actually it's going out on Monday, the first e-zine. So rather than doing a 12-week issue, which we would be putting out towards the end of May, covering June, July, August, we're going out over the summer holidays with what to do, where to go, the Highland Games that are on, all the amazing events that were supposed to be happening in the summer. We are doing this as interactive online version early. So we're doing a short 6-week issue now, which is talking about all the things people are doing now. But as we know, in the last 8 weeks, things haven't just changed weekly, they have changed daily, and sometimes they have changed hourly. And we've all been sort of adapting as fast as we can, or actually sometimes taking a little bit of stock and going, actually, no, I just need to see what it is I need to do, which is why it's taken us a little while to look at this. So people are changing. So the second issue will be in the second 6 weeks over the holidays, so July into the middle of August. As people's businesses changed, as the restrictions and lockdown start to lift and people are doing different things, we can then put out a second issue which says, hey, this shop was shut, or this activity was shut, it's now offering takeaways, or this activity was offering takeaways, it's now offering outdoor, or whatever businesses are doing, we can offer. But interestingly, I have been speaking to businesses, and I think that moving forward, businesses will, especially clubs and classes, have had such success and interaction with some of their online things that people will maybe be doing hybrid. So maybe they'll be doing classes, physical classes, but maybe they'll be doing online classes as well, not just for the lockdown, but going forward as part of what they offer. So things are changing, and it's really interesting.
Yeah, and I think it's exciting times. You know, there's a lot of pain that's going on in certain aspects of the situation, but I think that is part of life as well. But the ability and the creativity of people, as you say, has been phenomenal. And the fact that we've actually been forced to explore this medium of digital without a choice almost has really allowed people to see the magic that it can create. And then when we come out, I guess it will be down to balance. A little bit online, a little bit offline. And, I think for me, offline looks like it could be a lot more of being social, going out and having experiences, looking for those young families who want to go and do stuff together, can read Rearing to Go, whether it's an online Saturday morning or it's out there looking at the Falcons or going to the theatre or whatever it might be. So I love what it is doing for people, and anybody who's not hopped on better hurry up.
Absolutely.
What I'm curious about, with all of that is, what do you put down to your key to success?
That's a hard one.
I know.
What's my key to success? Well, actually, I've got this little mug in front of me, which is my Saturday morning mug. Can you see it? Anything is possible.
Oh,
it's
cute.
An Edward Monckton one. And it
Lovely.
says at the back, anything is possible, she believed. So she grew wings and flew like an angel to the stars. She didn't know that the back of her dress was tucked into her knickers, though. Hey, you can't have it all. And I think that actually is possibly the key to my success. I think anything is possible. And also, it's taken me a long time to realise this. It doesn't have to be perfect. If your dress is tucked into the back of your knickers, hey, never mind. At least you tried, and people will remember you. So I think anything is possible, and don't be afraid to try, and don't be afraid to, and people call it fail. And I don't think it is fail. I think it is learn by as you go. WD-40 is not called WD-1. They needed 40 goes to get WD-40 right. The light bulb didn't get invented on the first go. So if we were all scared to try, nothing would happen. So anything is possible. Maybe it's not possible now, and maybe it won't be as you had it in your head. Maybe it won't be insta-perfect. But you know what? That's something also I've learned. Over the last 8 or 10 weeks, with the very many Zoom calls I've done and things I've watched online and things like this, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be lit properly. It doesn't have to be airbrushed. It doesn't have to be filtered. It doesn't have to be edited to the nth degree. Because people like honesty. And anything is possible if you're your honest and genuine self and you give it a try and you're doing it for the right reasons. Yeah. I think anything is possible.
I love that. And I think it's a great piece of wisdom to give anybody who's listening in, because we are so dictated by what we think people will approve.
And what people want to see. That people want to see people. People relate to people. And I think that's why the magazine is really important, whether it be digital or with our printed version. We tell stories about people. We don't take a press release and put it in. We actually go and speak to people. So we can put real people's real stories and what real people are doing in the local community in front of other real people, which might inspire them. It might get them to come and try their business or their shop or go to their attraction or whatever. But it's about real people being honest and just giving things a go. And that's another thing that's been great about Rearing to Go. It's been a fantastic platform to show people what other people are doing. Like our Rearing to Go Awards, I posted last week. It was 3 years since we had our first Rearing to Go Awards, or second Rearing to Go Awards at Hoodle's Play Barn. And we had celebrating local businesses. We had such a fantastic time. And then our last year's one we had at the Science Centre. There's such fantastic businesses. And that's been, a great thing for me for Rearing to Go, is showing people's belief that anything is possible, and that's been really a great part of Rearing to Go for me so far.
That's fantastic. And so keep on supporting this magazine, people, because we need it, and the young people coming up actually need it as well, because there's so much to do in the Northeast. There's so much to do around here, but it's sometimes not easy to just wake up and find it. And a magazine like this really gives it to you in one place, online or offline. So I have another question for you, and I'm sure you've got an answer for this one, considering you know so many places and people and everything. But what is your burning desire right now?
If you'd asked me this 3 months ago, or 3 years ago, it would have been probably a very different answer. But my answer, I guess, for the last 3 days and probably the next 3 weeks, maybe even longer, is I just want to go and meet a couple of friends and sit down and have a cup of tea and a very big piece of cake and just chat to them, not through a screen, but just to see their faces and to have those natural pauses in conversation and feel the wind and sun on our faces and enjoy a lovely cup of tea and a piece of cake that I haven't had to make and I don't have to do the washing up for. That, at the moment, is my burning ambition.
Well, I think you're not alone. I'm with you on that one. Come on, let this thing come to its end, you know. And Victoria, you know, it's lovely to speak to you like this, because I think, you know, for a lot of people, we see you in that little photo in the magazine, you know, publisher, editor. We see beautiful photos of you and your daughter over the years as she's grown up. You've had photos with her in as well. And it's just really nice to meet you and hear you speak, make you real, because, you know, you talk about wanting to bring reality to people's homes about businesses out there. It's lovely to meet you in your real state, in your lovely office, I must admit.
Thank you. A lot of purple goes on. We're a bit raring to go purple.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting, Tess, because a lot of people think Raring to Go is a big business. They think it is, you know, one of the national titles. I wish it was. I am the frustrated editor of Vogue, you know, and have been for years. I mean, Raring to Go is part of a franchise. There's about 50 of us throughout the UK. I'm the only one in Scotland. I have always been the only one in Scotland for the last 10 years. So there's 50 odd other working mums, working women like me, running Raring to Go's in other areas in the UK. So when we can travel again, if you're staycationing in the UK, look up Raring to Go online in Manchester or Wales or Brighton or whatever, because there's a Raring to Go online there telling you all the great things that are on. So, you know, we're not a big business. You know, I'm a micro business. I run Raring to Go, and I've always worked full time as well as running this business. All my team are freelancers. They're all incredibly dedicated professionals, but also who run portfolio careers and also have children. They're all freelancers, and I've actually just got 2 new freelancers who started with us the first week of March as lockdown happened. So you'll get to meet them over the coming issues as well. Between them, they've got 6 children between 14 months and 14. Wow. I've only got 1. My designer's got 2. You know, so we've got, you know, really interesting people in the business, but we are a micro business. I now run the business from my home office, which I have done for a while anyway. But we're not a big business. We are like all the other businesses in Aberdeen City and Shire. We're a small family-run business who are struggling with our everyday things. We're homeschooling. We are trying to get our puppy walked with him. You know, we're trying not to have children coming in when we're doing Zoom calls. We're praying our internet doesn't fall over. You know, but even before lockdown, we are a micro business. So we are not a big, shiny, glossy title with even a big office in Aberdeen or the Central Belt. You know, we're not part of DC Thompson or the Condé Nast Group. We are a small business who work really hard for local people, and we really want to help. That's sort of where I come from. If I can help businesses thrive and succeed, and I can help families connect with those businesses and make the most of what this wonderful area has to offer. I mean, I'm from New Zealand, and New Zealand's a fantastic country. This place, Aberdeenshire, is the second best place in the world. If you can't be in New Zealand on lockdown, better to be here. So, you know, if we can connect those two together and everyone succeeds and uses the local area and has a great time, then that's what makes me, what gets me up in the morning, makes me do this. Issue 52, I think we're on this time.
Yeah, you know what? Your passion just shines out there. You're alive when you talk about it like that. And I find it quite interesting because I'm from Cape Town. And just as I arrived up here in Scotland, somebody said to me, there are 3 places in the world, and you could be there and you could feel like you were in each one of those places at the same time. One is Cape Town, one is New Zealand, and one is Scotland. And so here we are all you and I sitting in Scotland talking about New Zealand, Cape Town. So that's amazing. Now, we are coming to the end of this interview, but what I would love to hear from you is a childhood story from a time when you were growing up in New Zealand.
Right. So I was born in a town of Hamilton, New Zealand, not Hamilton, Scotland. But when I was 7, my mum and my stepdad sold up everything in our town lives, and we moved to what was called the Winterless North, the Great Hokianga, to live on a commune. This was the middle of the 70s.
Okay.
So I went from having a very standard start to my life to living in a beautiful, wild, remote part. The Hokianga Harbour is where the founding of New Zealand by the Maori population is supposed to come from. Kupe, who was the founder, the Maori founder of New Zealand, came from Hawaii in his canoe and came into the mouth of the Hokianga Harbour. It's of huge historical and cultural significance to the Maori New Zealanders and to the whole of New Zealand as a nation. That's where our history started. So I grew up in a wild, spiritual, interesting, culturally interesting place. Culturally, because I was one of the only non-Maori people in the area, and it grew as the sort of commune came. We lived, Opunoni is actually, at that time, was through the Great Waipua Forest, where the Tane Mahuta, the godfather of all the kauri trees is. It's an enormous tree, look it up, Tane Mahuta, god of the forest. And it was a gravel road, a metal road, and it was a 3-hour trip through a metal road, so it was very inaccessible. You didn't just pop to the Hokianga like you can now. So I had a childhood of growing up, looking out the back door to the beach. I rode my horse to school quite a lot of the time. And New Zealanders are resilient people. There's always a thing about New Zealanders, you can do anything with a pair of pliers and a number 8 wire. And I think that's part of my anything is possible upbringing. I think growing up in this really interesting place on the beach in the north of the North Island, the Winterless North, where 4 degrees and a frost is once a year happening if you're very unlucky. It rains a lot though, bit like the west coast of Scotland.
Yes.
So I think my upbringing has given me the tenacity to do what I have done. I left New Zealand in 1995 for a year. 3 weeks ago, the beginning of May, I've been here for 25 years.
Well,
We're
okay.
adventurous people. We are social people. We can make anything possible. And I think the other interesting thing about the Scotland or Aberdeen New Zealand connection is New Zealand is a big village. There's not many people. There's 6.5 million people in a landmass the size of Great Britain. And people say, oh, do you know so-and-so? We've got 2 or 3 degrees of separation. Maybe not quite as close as Aberdeen. But when I moved to Aberdeen, people said to me, oh, Aberdeenshire is a big village. You might not like it there. I said, I come from New Zealand. We are a big village as well. So I think the whole anything is possible, give it a go, just do your best. And if it's not perfect, ship it anyway, try. If at first you don't succeed, try again. But also tinged, I'm not so good at this now, and maybe I need to go back to New Zealand for a bit, tinged with pause on an afternoon and have a beer and a pie with your mates and play the ukulele or play the guitar and have a good sing-song and then have another go tomorrow. That's not so much here. Maybe it's too cold in Scotland to do too much of that.
Yeah.
Just having a pause. So I think, that the upbringing on the beach in a really interesting social time and a really interesting social setting in such a beautiful place has given me the resources to think that anything is possible, but also to form a network. And, we've got some great networking networks in Aberdeen, and I've formed a brilliant network here. And I feel very blessed and very lucky that the skills I learned growing up in Opunoni and the Hokianga Harbour have transferred to Scotland and allowed me to not just survive here, but to thrive, grow a useful business, grow a family, and be part of a community.
It's absolutely wonderful. And I just love how, if we do look back to our youth, we can just see how that inspires us to become potentially what we are as we grow older. Sometimes it doesn't look like it's a match for match, but when you look deeper, and your story is beautiful. I love all the ways you say the names of the places. I can't even say them, let alone spell them, but I might need some help there. But it has been a delight speaking to you today, and I'm sure anybody who's had a chance to listen will absolutely feel the same as me. So thank you so much for coming to spend some time with us on Spotlights what used to be a radio show, which is currently a bit of a online vlog interview, where we're speaking to what is obviously a real woman who tells real stories and is focusing a lot on real issues. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tess. It's been great speaking to you too.
Super. And to anybody else out there, if you do want to get a hold of Victoria, I think it's literally just Google Rearing to Go Aberdeen.
Rearing to Go Aberdeen, Aberdeenshire. Yeah, absolutely. Look us up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. I actually just Google me, Victoria Withy, and I seem to have quite a big Google presence.
Okay.
You know what I look like, so click on the picture and yeah, give us a call.
Well, we look forward to seeing you offline and online in the near future. So thank you so much and see you very soon.
Spotlight on SHMU FM. Keeping it real with Tess.